are unintended consequences to hookup culture that people do not understand. Sex is bonding. It releases oxytocin in the brain, the bonding hormone, and you could find yourself bonding to someone that is the wrong person for you, and you don't even really know them. And because of this bonding need, we find ourselves emotionally attached to people that are toxic and otherwise we'd have no interest in if we weren't bonded to them. I am not getting into the moral or religious arguments on this at all. I'm talking pure science.
The contents on this channel are for learning, insight, and introspection.
Hey YouTube, you have made your way back to Mind Your Mind with Just Justified. So you saw the thumbnail. Let's jump right in. Let's talk about sex. All right, so if you ever heard about that song, that's an old school song, I know. For those who are into those oldies a little bit, but I honestly wanted to touch this topic on today. So let's start with a little comedic video just to warm us up. All right, let's check it out.
Girl, shoot, I don't know what you did, but that was some good stuff right there, man. Oh my God, really? You like it? Man, like it? Shoot, that stuff was off the chain. God dang. Well, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, man. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, what you doing? Shoot. Nah.
So that was just a little comedic thing, like, because it kind of looked like, when I saw this clip, I was like, okay, that was all. That was it. Did what they did, and no combination, no conversation, no bonding, no nothing. That was it. You're like looking at you like, all right. So anyway, that was just a little bit comedic start. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about sex. Because as the words hookup culture and situationship circulate in our society, I sit back and I think how far we've gone in regards to sexual liberation, right? So as I hear about some people are, especially with what's going on in media right now, some people are willing to risk it all for moments of pleasure. I chose to tackle a topic that may be a bit controversial to some, but today, though, before you judge, just hear me out. Is sex the most important thing in a relationship? So let's check out this next video.
100% matters in any relationship that you're in, because that's the whole point of being in a relationship. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a marriage, whatever the it is. The only reason you guys are coming together and making an official relationship is because you guys want to have exclusive sex with each other. If you're not having exclusive sex with your partner, that's nothing more than a friendship. If your woman tries to deny you sex, if your woman tries to hang off on sex, just move on to another friendship. Like, you don't need her in your life if she's not giving you sex.
So did you hear what he said? All right, hear me out. Sex can be a beautiful thing, right? But I can't help but pick up a dehumanizing tone out of how he put it in this clip. It is one thing that can help in this, it can help in the sustenance of a relationship, yes, but it is not the only part needed in a healthy, keyword healthy, relationship. So how you relate to each other outside of the physical is important too. If your partner was sick and could not perform at the time, that should not equate to the dissolve of that relationship. He said a relationship's only reason is for exclusive sex. And for whatever the reason that it is not done, then his solution is to just move on to where you can get it. Forget getting down to a reason why. Forget the bond. Forget the vows. Throw all of it away. Throw all of it out the window. That's how it seems to be in his logic, with how he presented this. So he basically showed he's in a relationship only for the sex. Forget everything else. The humanity extracted. Forget everything else. Humanity extracted. Move on to the next. And again, I'm not saying that it's not an important part. I'm not saying that. But he set it up as like the only important part. I don't think I can rock with his stance. Now, if it's like that for you, then that's you. If it's like that. But I want to focus on what's healthy. So sex is not something to be taken as lightly as this culture is taking it. For him to say, just move on to the next, basically, shows how lightly he takes it in the relationship. I mean, like the importance of that relationship outside of sex. So there are so many things to consider when you are with someone. So let's check out this next video.
There are unintended consequences to hookup culture that people do not understand. Sex is bonding. It releases oxytocin in the brain, the bonding hormone, and you could find yourself bonding to someone that is the wrong person for you, and you don't even really know them. And because of this bonding need, we find ourselves emotionally attached to people that are toxic and otherwise we'd have no interest in if we weren't bonded to them. I am not getting into the moral or religious arguments on this at all. I'm talking pure science. Science says that sex is bonding. And you can find yourself bonding to somebody who isn't right for you, and that can lead you to a lot of heartbreak down the road. So at least do your homework. Screen your partners. Make sure that this is someone that you want to be bonded to before you just jump in the sack. And I promise you, if you do that, you'll be better for it and your relationships will be better for it.
Right. So many people do not take oxytocin into consideration and how bonding it is. He said you could find yourself bonding to someone that you may not even have any other interest in or isn't right for you. So, you know, that's something to consider. That's a reality. It's science. It's not just like, you know, as he said, like other areas like religious or even or anything like that. It's science about thinking about that bonding agent. So let's look at what emotional intelligence and wanting more substance look like.
Slippery slope, because bro, sex can have you thinking if you're having good sex with a girl that your relationship is good,
and you love her.
That's true too.
sex has nothing to do with your relationship. The best, bro, the best relationship that I've ever been in my entire life, it sounds so fucking stupid to say, but there was not that much sex involved.
I could sit there and agree with you on it, because the one that I got, I was the most compatible with, looking back on it, and shout out to her. Of course we had sex, and of course it was good, but it wasn't every day. It wasn't waking up and like, oh like we gotta fuck, you know what I'm saying? It was there, and it was a nice addition to the relationship, and obviously it was great, and you keep on doing it because you're attracted to each other and whatever, but I get what you're saying. It's not the main focal point to what's going on,
because you become dependent on it. It holds everything in place. It's like, that's the one thing. It's like, okay, we did this, now we can go about our day. And it's like, it's the opposite. It should be, you know, there should be communication. There should be some level of intimacy. There should be some level of love and intimacy. Right. Like there's so much else that goes into a relationship with a woman that has nothing to do with the physical pleasure. That's an added bonus. That's obviously important. Like we said, it's an important role of it, but it's not all of it. And when a relationship is all of it, it's probably not a healthy relationship.
So they brought up the word intimacy. They stated some of the best relationships they had. Yes, there was sex, but what made it the best was when it was coupled with intimacy. So this next man breaks down intimacy.
Crave intimacy, but we confuse it as sex. We think that sex is the answer to the problems that we face on the inside. Now, intimacy is not sex. Those two don't correlate. See, intimacy can only be cultivated with a level of vulnerability, presence, trust, and surrender. Intimacy is really about truth. It's about being able to tell someone about your pain and past and traumas. Really being yourself around that person. Being able to truly stand in your truth. And that person's response is, "You're safe here with me." That's intimacy.
So you heard him. Intimacy. Intimacy is being able to be yourself around someone. A level of vulnerability, trust, presence, surrender, and truth. So, you know, when people say they only focus on just the sexual, then I wonder about that, because there's such a deeper level that can be had in a relationship rather than that surface level of sexuality. So here's another video on the chemicals released during sex.
Too, that when you engage in a physical relationship with someone, the chemicals that are released after sex make you feel closer to them when you're not actually closer to them. 100%. So you haven't really done the work for deep value-based intimacy, but you're feeling the high chemically. And you can feel that with people again and again and again. And that's why we get more attached to people that we have sex with in that way. that's what people underestimate, is that do you want to make a decision based on reality, or do you want to make a decision based on chemicals that are being exposed to you in a particular moment, which aren't reality? And I think everyone would hold their hand up. Anyone who's in the comment section right now, like, would say, I have been in a relationship where we had a terrible relationship, but the sex was great. I think everyone would agree that they've been in a relationship.
And whenever there was an argument, we leaned on sex and got back to like, to a foundation, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
so he's saying the chemicals may mislead your reality. That deep value intimacy brings. So don't get me wrong. As we talk about this, I know there are people that, quite frankly, do not care or agree to feeling any bonding when it comes to sex, right, with an individual. But a lot of people do, and have seen the complications from prematurely introducing sex in a relationship. And they've seen the breakdown of relationships when the only focus is sex, instead of putting work on intimacy. So you got me. Not really only talking about sex. Not all about sex, all right? It's about intimacy. That is what is important. So I do have a mindful moment quote for us today. So the quote is by Joyce Brothers. And the quote says, real intimacy is only possible to the degree that we can be honest about what we are doing and feeling. Real intimacy is only possible to the degree that we can be honest about what we are doing and feeling. So, I mean, for those who are just down for situationships, those who are down for, you know, the hookup culture, whatever the situation is, this is not for you. This conversation is for those who are interested in true intimacy and a healthy relationship with your partner, with your spouse, with the person that you are in a relationship with. So it's been real, y'all. All right. So I will talk to you later. Peace.
Crave intimacy, but we confuse it as sex.